Hello, everybody. Again, this is Ron Dittmars talking to you from the Erasmus Academy recording studios. And tonight we're starting a new series on Johann August Sutter. He was, and you see here the Sutter's Mill in California. It's very famous for finding gold, discovering gold, and then resulting in the gold rush of 48 and 49. He was born in 1803 and died in 1880. He was a German-born Swiss pioneer of California with Mexican and American citizenship, and known for establishing Sutter's Fort in the area that would eventually become Sacramento. His he built this sawmill, which is eventually the place where gold was discovered for the first time. And then his own business ventures eventually failed during the California Gold Rush, but those of his elder son, Johann August Sutter Jr., were more successful. So here you have on the screen a picture of, as the artist would depict, the mill that he built by the river, where they actually discovered gold for the first time. And there's another image I want to show you here. This is sort of some picture of the surrounding town near that mill, and you see the horse and buggy, obviously typical of that time period. Okay, and today we have Jeff as our guest speaker. Jeff, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Jeff Erickson. I'm an ethics student at Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, and I'm glad to be with you tonight.
Okay, great. We're actually picking up the story on page 19 and 20. So there's an earlier part of the narrative that we won't read tonight, but it actually starts out with let me see, move this up here a bit. Okay, it starts out with John August Sutter being very poor, leaving his home in Switzerland, going to the docks and the boats of Holland and France, and trying to get onto a boat to America with no money at all in his pocket. And he lives in New York for a while, and then eventually moves west. It's quite an amazing story. So this text is fairly easy. You'll notice that there are only the present tense verbs in the text, and it's fairly straightforward. We'll also have a chance to see some of the vocabulary in the bottom there, so it's fairly easy to pick up. Okay, so let's go from here. And our normal procedure is I'll read out loud, and Jeff will repeat after me. Please read with him, and then I'll ask him specific questions about the grammar of the sentence, so that we can unpack it together, and you can see how the meaning comes out from these sentences. Okay, so here we go. You all set, Jeff?
I am.
All right. Ein paar Jahre später bricht der Krieg zwischen den Vereinigten Staaten und Mexiko aus. Go ahead.
Ein paar Jahre später bricht der Krieg zwischen den Vereinigten Staaten und Mexiko aus.
Good. Okay. And let's see. Can you see my pen here, the marker?
I can.
Okay. So here you have if you scan this sentence, you'll notice that there's a preposition at the end of the sentence, and that really will most likely or almost always be a separable prefix, and it separates from this verb, brechen, from which we get our English word to break. Brechen, brich, or brechen, brach, gebrochen are the three principal parts. So this is all these verbs, as I said, are in present tense. So brechen means to break, ausbrechen means to break out. So the war breaks out, and this is all written in present. You could think of it as historical present. Okay, so where's the subject in that sentence, Jeff? Right here, der Krieg.
Der Krieg.
The Krieg, yeah. And then zwischen takes the dative, that's why it's den Vereinigten Staaten und Mexico. Okay, so this is just a few years later. So you want to translate that first sentence?
A few years later, war broke out between the United States and Mexico.
Mm-hmm. And it's actually present tense, so the war breaks out between, and it's sort of funny to hear it in the present tense, but that's sometimes the way writers of history will present something that's in the past, even in the historical present tense. Okay, going on. In diesem Krieg bleibt Sutter neutral. Everybody?
In diesem Krieg bleibt Sutter neutral.
Good. And this is just the dative. As you notice, the prepositional phrase reverses the verb and the subject here. So in this war, Sutter remains. Bleiben. This is a strong verb. Bleiben, blieb, geblieben. Remains neutral. Going on. Steht auf seinem Fort und schaut ins Tal hinab. Everybody?
Steht auf seinem Fort und schaut ins Tal hinab.
So here's another preposition at the end that floats out to the end of the clause or the sentence, and it goes together with schauen. So schauen means to see. There's a place in Germany called Schauensland, so the land from which you can see. Okay, but hinab means down. So hinab, schauen, is to look down. And then what is this in's a contraction for?
In das.
Good. So that's the contraction for in das, and that means it's a directional accusative. So you have to translate that into. So he is looking down into the valley. Okay, and this means he's standing on his fort or near his fort. You want to translate that one? Just start for in this war.
He stands in his fort and looks down into the valley.
Good. Wo die Amerikaner und Mexikaner kämpfen. Everybody?
Wo die Amerikaner und Mexikaner kämpfen.
Okay, this means to battle or to fight. So it's very simple, where the Americans and the Mexicans are fighting. Going on. Mexiko verliert den Krieg und Kalifornien wird ein Teil der Vereinigten Staaten.
Mexiko verliert den Krieg und Kalifornien wird ein Teil der Vereinigten Staaten.
Okay, up to the comma, where's the verb?
Verliert.
Good. That means it loses. So Mexico is obviously the subject. Loses. And then where's the direct object?
Krieg.
Good. So if you really want to be specific in analyzing this, you would show with an arrow that this transitive verb transfers its action to the direct object, den Krieg. And you know that this is masculine because it's den. If this were a feminine noun, it would be die. Neuter noun would be a das. Going on. And then we already read this. So where's the verb after the comma, Jeff?
Wird.
Wird. When wird stands by itself, it means what?
Becomes?
Yeah, it just becomes, right. Good. So California becomes a part, tile, and then this is a genitive plural of the United States. Good. Going on. Sutter ist und bleibt der reichste und stärkste Mann in Kalifornien. Everybody?
Sutter ist und bleibt der reichste und stärkste Mann in Kalifornien.
Good. There are two verbs here. Where are they?
Ist.
Mm-hmm.
Der reichste und stärkste.
Bleibt. And
bleibt.
Bleibt. Yeah, he remains. So he is and remains. And what does this st tell you? As what kind of adjectives are these?
Superlative.
Great. Just like in English, the first, the best, whatever, the richest. So this means is and remains the richest and the strongest man in California. Going on. Nun denkt auch an seine Frau und seine Kinder in der Schweiz. Everybody?
Nun denkt auch an seine Frau und seine Kinder in der Schweiz.
Good. Where's your verb?
Denkt.
Good. And so you have a preposition in the beginning or an adverb here with nun, now. That's why you have a reversal of the verb and the subject. So now he thinks also about his wife and his children. Where are they?
In Switzerland. In der Schweiz.
In der Schweiz, yeah. So this is, Switzerland always is a feminine noun, as a noun of that country. Okay, going on. Schreibt ihnen und schickt ihnen das Geld zur Fahrt nach Amerika.
Schreibt ihnen und schickt ihnen das Geld zur Fahrt nach Amerika.
Good. So this is he writes, and this takes the dative. He writes to them, so we indicate the dative with these carets, to them, and he sends schicken, present tense, also to them. And where's the direct object of schicken?
Das Geld.
Good, yeah. The neuter noun, das Geld, for the trip to America. Going on. This comes from fahren, to travel. Aber bevor sie in Kalifornien ankommen, everybody?
Aber bevor sie in Kalifornien ankommen,
geschieht die große Katastrophe.
geschieht die große Katastrophe.
Okay, so where's your verb in the first, up to the comma?
Ankommen.
Good. And kommen means to come, just like in English, but ankommen is the verb. It means to arrive. So with this preposition, it just has a slightly different meaning. But before they arrive in California, from geschehen, we have the word Geschichte and lots of different words. Occurs the great catastrophe, and I think the great catastrophe is referring to the gold rush that follows after that and all the pandemonium that results in that great incredible time in history during those 1 or 2 years that gold was discovered there. Okay, let's see. You want to just translate from the second paragraph down to the end, just slowly, so we can follow you again?
Sutter is and remains the richest and strongest man in California.
Mhm.
Now he thinks also about his wife and his children in Switzerland.
Mhm.
He writes to them and sends them money for the trip to America.
Great.
But before they arrive in California, the great catastrophe occurs.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, and see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.